Welcome to the deep dive. You know, for so many of us, Food Network, it's always just been there, right? A constant.
Oh, like comfort food television. Totally reliable, familiar faces.
Exactly, that source of comfort programming. It always felt kind of immune to all the chaos in media, you know?
Like a bedrock of cable.
Right. But lately, that bedrock seems to be shaking pretty violently, actually.
Yeah, the stability is just gone. What viewers are seeing now, it's not your usual programming shuffle.
No.
No. Insiders, fans, they're calling it more like a corporate purge. We've gathered sources talking about these really abrupt ends to shows people love, shows that ran forever.
And the host reactions, too, right?
Oh, yeah. And crucially, the sort of financial context, the why behind it all, coming from the parent company, Warner Bros. Discovery.
Okay, so our mission today is to take all that, the fan outrage, which is totally understandable, and connect it with the colder industry reality. We want to give you a really clear picture of the business reasons why this channel, built on culinary comfort, seems to be cutting everything.
Okay, let's get into it then. What really happens when these shows, these like legacy shows that felt so permanent, suddenly get tagged as, I don't know, financial liabilities.
Right.
And what does that tell us about where cable TV is actually heading?
Oh, yeah.
Huge shift.
It really is. And the cancellation that felt like the biggest signal, the real end of an era moment, was The Kitchen.
Oh, definitely.
When that news dropped, it just floored people. Because this wasn't some struggling show. It was like a fixture.
Right. A weekend ritual for so many.
Yeah. That collaborative cooking party vibe, it
Right.
ran for nearly 10 years. 40 seasons.
40 seasons. It's incredible. Over 500 episodes.
Wow.
I mean, that's a huge amount of content. The kind of dependable, unscripted stuff networks usually kill for.
And the hosts, Sunny Anderson, Lee Biegel, Jeff Mauro, Geoffrey Zakarian, Alex Guarnaschelli. They were practically part of the furniture in people's kitchens on Saturdays.
Absolutely. And now, essentially retired, the final episode is set for, December 13th? A Saturday morning.
Yeah. And the way the hosts reacted, it really underlined how big this loss felt. Lee Biegel called it the greatest professional honor of her life. She straight up said, end of an era.
Yeah, and Jeff Mauro's comments, too, they weren't just about, missing the recipes. He got pretty nostalgic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, talking about the unique, kind of chaotic energy of it all. He mentioned playing Twister with Daniel Radcliffe.
Wait, Daniel Radcliffe? On The Kitchen?
Apparently. And seeing with Trisha Yearwood. It just shows the show was more than just cooking demos, right?
Yeah.
It was personality, entertainment.
Wow, Twister with Harry Potter. That's unexpected.
Definitely adds a bit of color.
But it also brings us back to the audience reaction because on social media, people zeroed in on a really key point. Fans were saying The Kitchen was one of the very few shows left that was actually about recipes and cooking.
Yes. That exact sentiment came up again and again. This is the disconnect we have to talk about.
Right, people posting things like, please just give us cooking instructions, something reliable.
There was one comment that really stood out. Someone said, The Kitchen was their getaway from the countless competition shows.
Okay, yeah.
And they added, pretty bluntly, so help me if they replace it with another competition show. Enough already.
And that right there, that captures the tension perfectly, doesn't it? Viewers want that comfort, the instruction, but the network strategy, it seems, really focused on shifting towards those high stakes, maybe cheaper to produce competition formats.
Yeah, the drama sells, or at least that seems to be the bet. And that tension, it got even clearer when you look at how they handled the seasonal shows.
Right. The Kitchen was the big, loud cancellation.
But the holiday stuff, that was more like a quiet purge, a systematic dismantling of things fans expected every year.
They didn't just hit the daytime schedule, did they? They kind of went after the whole seasonal lineup pretty quietly.
So quietly that people only really noticed when their favorites just vanished from the listings, especially Halloween shows.
Yeah, what happened there?
Well, Outrageous Pumpkins, gone after 5 seasons, which felt pretty established.
Okay.
Halloween Cookie Challenge, which had Rosanna Pansino and Duff Goldman, only lasted 2 seasons. Cut.
Wow, only 2. And then there was that Titus Burgess show, right? A Last Bite Hotel? That seemed different.
It was different, only 1 season, but people really seemed to latch onto it. They liked the concept resourceful cooking, just 13 ingredients.
It sounded clever.
Yeah, someone on Reddit called it one of the few genuinely original ideas the network has had recently.
Huh. So it's not just about ratings then. They're cutting shows that people see as innovative.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
It suggests the cuts are hitting reliable shows and promising new ideas. not just, the low performers.
And it wasn't just Halloween. You mentioned a broader holiday purge.
Oh, yeah, even the big ones. Christmas Cookie Challenge, 8 seasons. Holiday Wars, 7 seasons.
What happened to them?
Oh, they're dropped entirely or scaled way back. These were staples for years.
So if you compare what got cut, the instructional stuff, the simpler reality formats, with what's replacing them, like World's Sweetest Candy Shops or Beat Bobby Flay, Holiday Throwdown.
Exactly. It just reinforces what the fans are saying. It looks like a move away from how-to cooking.
Towards spectacle, travel, competition.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
More towards entertainment formats that maybe travel better or fit a different model.
There's even that thing with Carla Hall, wasn't there, being replaced on Holiday Baking Championship?
Right. By Cardia Brown.
Yeah.
Because Carla Hall moved over to judge that huge new Harry Potter Wizards of Baking show.
Ah, okay. So it all points towards bigger, flashier, probably more expensive competition shows, maybe things they think will work better on streaming.
That's the perfect segue. Because that transition from reliable cooking shows to huge spectacles, it leads straight to the business side of things.
Right. We have to ask why. Why are these successful, popular shows suddenly seen as disposable?
Before we dive into the why, let's just pause on that. It seems counterintuitive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Warner Bros. Discovery owns Food Network, and they also own Max, the streaming service.
Yeah.
Max needs content. Lots of it. The Kitchen makes hundreds of episodes of reliable, unscripted content. Why wouldn't you keep that engine running to feed the streamer?
That is the puzzle. Why cut the supply chain?
And that, right there, is the million-dollar question. The answer seems to be corporate finance. Or maybe think of it like corporate Tetrises.
Okay. Explain corporate Tetris.
Well, the official reason, reported by outlets like Variety, citing sources close to production, is that Food Network and WBD are evaluating resources and its priorities for the new year.
Which sounds like standard corporate speak.
It totally is.
Yeah.
That phrase, evaluating resources, is basically code for a massive, behind-the-scenes business reorganization.
Okay, so what's the actual reorganization? What's the core strategy that makes cutting popular shows make sense to them?
The huge factor, the main driver, appears to be Warner Bros. Discovery's big plan to split the company.
Split it how?
They want to separate the traditional linear cable channels like Food Network, HGTV, etc., from the streaming side, Max, and the movie TV studio.
Ah, okay. So carve off the old school cable part from the streaming and production part.
Precisely. And when a giant company like WBD does that kind of massive internal shuffle, there are usually big goals involved. Often it's about tackling huge debt loads or maybe making the streaming part look as attractive as possible to investors by itself.
Right. So splitting linear cable from streaming and studio assets. But how does that make a popular, long-running show like The Kitchen suddenly a problem?
It comes down to cost structures, specifically what you might call legacy costs.
The legacy costs.
Yeah. A show that's been running for a decade, like The Kitchen, it builds up significant fixed expenses over time. Think established union deals for the crew, long-term contracts for the hosts, guaranteed slots for production teams, maybe dedicated expensive studio space.
Okay, lots ongoing, locked-in costs tied to producing it for regular cable TV.
Exactly. Those are costly assets tied directly to the budget of the linear TV channel.
So if WBD is thinking about spinning off, or maybe even selling the linear channel's business someday.
Or just isolating it financially.
Right. They'd want that part of the business to look as lean as possible, less burdened by these big, long-term financial commitments.
You got it. They're essentially shedding those fixed, potentially burdensome assets. A show like The Kitchen might be profitable on its own, day to day.
But its long-term cost guarantee becomes a negative when you're trying to restructure the whole division.
That seems to be the logic. The content itself, the episodes, might still be valuable for Max, the streaming platform, the reruns there.
Sure.
But the production of new episodes, with its associated cable-era costs, is suddenly deemed expendable. Why? To free up cash to pour into the main priority.
Which is?
Making splashy, expensive, original shows and movies directly for the streaming service. Things they think can compete globally.
So it's the classic corporate shuffle, pulling resources from one area of the older, maybe slower-growing cable side to pump into the big growth engine, which is streaming.
And we know this isn't just speculation about Food Network. It fits a pattern across WBD's cable channels.
How so?
Well, sources confirm that HGTV, its sister channel, has also seen, and I quote, a spate of programming cancellations in recent months.
Like what?
Remember over the summer, shows like the Flipping El Moose's Bargain Block,
Mm-hmm.
they got sidelined too. It feels like a unified strategy across their cable portfolio.
Okay, so what does this mean for you, the listener, the person who just wants to relax with a cooking show on a Saturday morning?
Well, it means the shows you love disappearing. It might have very little to do with whether you or millions of others are watching it,
It's less about ratings.
and much more about internal company structures,
Hmm.
financial strategies, maybe pressure from Wall Street about debt or growth, organizational charts, basically.
So these beloved shows, the ones that aren't hyper-competitive, they're being cut not because they failed,
Not necessarily in terms of quality or audience, no.
but because the parent company has this huge internal business puzzle to solve how to manage the decline of linear cable while betting everything on streaming growth.
And the reliable long-running shows, ironically, might have the most straightforward legacy costs attached to them, making them easier targets when you need to trim the budget of that linear division, preparing it for whatever comes next.
Which brings us to our final thought for you to chew on. If the entire holiday lineup at Food Network are really just collateral damage in this bigger WBD strategy to separate its linear and streaming businesses,
Hmm.
what other long-running, iconic cable shows might be next? Think beyond food and home renovation. What about channels focused on documentaries or other kinds of reality TV? Are any decade-old cable staples truly safe right now?
That's definitely something to think about. What else that feels permanent might actually be vulnerable in this big media shift?
You've been listening to The Deep Dive. Thanks for tuning in.